And when we do legacy planning, the majority of the time, the conversation is what happens when I'm gone? Now, I've got stuff in my trust that answers that question. What happens when I'm gone? How does the company run? How does my family to get taken care of? What go to the girls? What goes to my wife? I've got those questions answered. But what happens when I wake up one day and I'm incapable of making a decision that would have been as quality as what I could make today? What happens when, and forgive the pun, but what happens when I'm a sandwich short of a picnic? Right? Now, the real problem that I have witnessed over my 34-year career is rarely does the bear, right, the park ranger and the bear, I can't remember what the bear's name is. You've got three kids. Yogi. Rarely does Yogi come over and steal the sandwich, right? You don't wake up one day and it's gone, right? Yep. It's a bite at a time. We tend to slip and slide away from being as competent as we once were. And it's what I have deemed fading away. And so what I will finish my career out, I'm 54, I've done this for 34 years. It's going to take another 5 to 7 years. There's no way around it. But I'm going to spend the rest of my career focused on our trust division at the Financial Enhancement Group, helping people get their legacy planning in right order. We can be the successor trustees of Trust Now for financial needs. We have an attorney on our team for that very reason. But it really is dealing with this issue of fading away. And we have a trademark process called Incremental Incapacitation. We can talk about that in the office. But what we're going to talk about today is not why you're here today and fully competent. And it's not when you're gone, how do your heirs get the money? What we're going to talk about is that space in between when you begin to fade away.
Yeah, Joe, and I've heard you speak to this many, many times, and seeing the impact of the families we take care of, seeing their response to what Joe is saying, it's opened my eyes so much. Like you said, I've learned so much. It's opened my eyes so much to that. There's people in life. You get to a certain place in life where you start to realize that you're not going to be here forever. And then you see enough people. They've seen enough people in their lives that have gone through this, where they're slowly slipping away, and they're not the same person that they were before. And so it's a concern that like people just don't want to talk about, but everybody's very much aware of. And what makes it even more impactful in my mind, and what you spoke to about, I've heard, and it's all coming together, and why it makes so much sense, is that the nature of how long people live now. We've talked about that in this show today, that people are going to live longer because healthcare and nutrition is better than it's ever been. It's probably only going to get better. And then also the fact that we have defined contribution plans that have been running through the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and it's going to continue this way, where we've gotten away from the defined benefit pension plans, where people are saving their entire career, and more people are retiring with $1 million, $2 million, $3 million or more dollars in their retirement accounts. And so where before somebody, if they're slipping away, the mailbox checks keep coming.
The pension checks. Social Security checks.
Those things, they keep coming, and they may not cash them, but you're not going to go spend them before you have the money. Now people are sitting on a large amount of money that if they're not using a lot of it, which most people who save a lot, they live on less than what they make. So they're not pulling as much as they really could. And so those piles of money are growing and growing. And now all of a sudden you have this pile of assets that can be spent down. And it can be used in inappropriate ways where the healthy, competent you may not want that to happen, but the person who's fading away is making decisions that don't make sense. We've heard story after story of family members and these tragedies where people have all this money and they end up just kind of dwindling it away because they don't know what they're doing. They don't realize that they're slipping away. The family doesn't want to step in and say, Dad, Mom, we've got to make a stop here. And just in my 2 years of being with Financial Enhancement Group and the families that we serve and the new families that have come in, I've heard this story dozens of times from multiple families saying the same thing, that Dad wasn't himself and he didn't intend this, but here we are today. So as this baby boomer generation, which it's a huge impact on our economy, as they get older, we're going to see this grow exponentially. This problem, where it didn't used to be as much of a problem in the past, now all of these variables have come together that this is going to be an issue that people need to be prepared for and need to be to plan for, where they may not have needed to as much in the past.